Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for subscribing. I think you're subscribed. I'm about to hit 150,000 subscribers, so that's cool. And today I'm going to be doing one of my favorite videos, reading the Goodreads synopsis to you of 40 books to figure out if we want to read them or not. I have the tab pulled up of everything I most recently added to my Goodreads most anticipated shelf, and we're gonna figure out if it actually belongs there. Because sometimes you just see the cover, or you just see the title, or you know it's from an author you've read, and you add it. And by you, I mean me. I might be projecting. Let's begin. Oh, let me move out of the way. Gotta move my big head for the books to come into the screen. Ashley Poston has a new upcoming book. It's called A Novel Love Story. I feel like I talked about this one before, but it didn't have a cover. It has a cover now. I love it. This is a very long synopsis, and I'm not gonna read all of it, but let's get a vibe. A professor of literature finds herself caught up in a work of fiction, literally. Eileen knows a thing or two about romance. As a professor of literature, she teaches prestigious courses on history's greatest romantics. But one week out of the year, she abandons her dusty textbooks and makes a pilgrimage to the Hudson Valley with her best friend Prue to meet their super smutty book club in person and celebrate the romance series that brought them together. Oh no, she gets lost in a thunderstorm, takes shelter in a bookstore, and she immediately gets on the bad side of its grumpy and infuriatingly sexy owner. But much like this one, a little bit magical, this one, she's like literally inside of a romance book. I've read a couple of books similar to that, the vibe of being within a book, and I didn't love them, but I have big faith in Ashley Poston. Next, I saw the Januaries by Olivia Blake, this author. I don't like her full-length novels, but I will pick up a short story collection. Once Upon a Time in a Land Far, Far Away, the titulary spirit to a magical bridge. Tutelary? The spirit to a magical bridge rapidly approaches burnout. Meanwhile, a Congress enacts a complex auditing system designed to unwaste your youth. A banished fairy answers a Craigslist ad. Oh, these are different stories. A Victorian orphan gains literacy for her occult situationship, and a multiverse assassin contemplates the one who got away. It says it's iconic short stories. That's the description. Stories of love, magic, and betrayal, the cover says. I think the cover's cute. Speaking of short stories, Untold Legends, book number 3 is called Fairies Never Lie. The first one was Vampires Never Get Old. And this one is just a bunch of authors who wrote individual stories about fairies. I predicted the cover of this one. I got it very wrong, and I really like the green of this. So we have a lot of authors that were in the other installments in the series rather. Anne Marie McLemore, Chloe Gong, Tessa Granton, Rory Power, etc., etc. Another short story collection is edited by Farida Abike Amide. If you loved Ace of Spades, I really like this cover, the bold colors. It's called The White Guy Dies First, 13 Scary Stories of Fear and Power. Oh no, it's edited by Terry J. Benton Walker, but for some reason Goodreads only links to Farida, my bad. But she does have a story in it, along with Alexis Henderson, Adiba Jagadar, Kendara Blake, Lamar Giles, Mark Oshiro, Tiffany D. Jackson, a lot of the typical YA authors who contribute to anthologies. Next, let's go to a cover that really reminds me of What Moves the Dead by T. Kingfisher. I wonder if it's the same artist. Graveyard Shift by none other than ML Rio. If you too have been anxiously awaiting another book from her after If We Were Villains, like, it's happening. This is a novella, but don't worry, after this I have good news. Continuing, this says it's a story of a ragtag group of night shift workers who meet in the local cemetery to unearth the secrets lurking in an open grave. It's a modern gothic tale, atmospheric and eerie, and featuring an ensemble cast. I will absolutely be reading this. And then this one was announced on her Instagram, and there's a Goodreads page for it, but there's no information really. It's called Hot Wax. That's all we know. But the announcement said she just signed a deal for 2 like full-length novels. So if you don't love a novella, there is something coming out. It says 2025, and I'll eat it up. Maybe it'll be perfect for a Literally Dead book club selection. Speaking of Literally Dead book club picks, Johnny Compton has another book coming out. We read The Spite House together. This one is called Devils Kill Devils. There's no cover. It's the same length as his last book. There's no information. The caption says, "What if your guardian angel murdered someone you love?" I don't need any more information. When I read that one, I gave it 3 stars and I said I would absolutely read from him again. Gabino Iglesias, who I read a book from last year and gave it 3 stars as well, is coming out with House of Bone and Rain. It says it's a group of 5 teenage boys living in Puerto Rico seeking vengeance after one of their mothers is murdered. It's a doomed tale of devotion and the afterlife of violence. This is another author that I said I would give another go. Let me know what you think of the cover, because like I like the boldness of it, especially because a lot of this genre kind of bleeds together. Like I don't like it, but I like it because it stands out and it's got the same vibe as this one. So Thirsty by Rachel Harrison does not have a cover yet, but this is the author of The Return. This is my favorite from her. I don't know if I should keep reading Rachel Harrison, but I wanted to let you know that it's a thing. It says a woman must learn to take life by the throat after a night out leads to irrevocable changes. Sloane Parker is dreading her birthday. She doesn't need a reminder she's getting older, that she's feeling indifferent about her own life. Her husband surprises her with a birthday weekend getaway, not with him, but with Sloane's longtime best friend. She's orchestrated a wild night out, and it's gonna change their lives forever. It obviously sounds vampire-y, which makes me want to read it even though I know I shouldn't. This next one I think is going to change my life. Alexis Henderson can officially be considered an all-time favorite author if this one gets a high rating. It's called An Academy for Liars and it comes out at the end of this year. I saw it said something about dark academia and horror, and I haven't read on, so let's do that together. Lennon Carter's life is falling apart until she gets a mysterious phone call inviting her to sit the entrance exam for somewhere very few have heard of, Drayton College, a school of magic hidden in the secret pocket of Savannah. Lennon has been chosen because, like everyone else at the school, she is special. She possesses the innate gift of the ability to wield her will like a weapon and to use it to control others, and in rare cases, matter itself. After passing the grueling exam, Lennon must now learn how to master this devastating power. While persuasion takes a heavy toll on her body and her mind, she's captivated by all that surrounds her. Her studies, Drayton's lush moss-draped campus, her brilliant classmates, and most of all by Dante, the charismatic advisor, who both intimidates and enamors her. But as Lennon becomes more adept to wielding her uncanny abilities, she uncovers more about the unsettling history of Drayton and Dante's tragic and violent past. My laptop battery is about to die. Doesn't this sound good? I mean, regardless of how it sounded, I would be picking it up because I'm an Alexis Henderson stan, and I really just can't wait to see the cover. I bet it's gonna be beautiful. Next up, we have news from Josh Malerman. Now, this, I can't tell. I think it might be a possessed stuffed animal, and I'm so not into that. I accidentally read a possessed doll story last year and it just like ruined my day. It's so not my thing, but Josh Malerman is. So I don't know, I might have to wait until some early reviews come in. It's called Incidents Around the House. It says it's a chilling horror novel about a haunting told from the perspective of a young girl whose troubled family is targeted by an entity she calls Other Mommy. So it's like, is this the entity? Or can it and will it kind of inhabit various things in the house? It's unclear, but it says Other Mommy's getting restless, stronger, bolder. Only the bonds of family can keep Bella safe. But other incidents show cracks in her parents' marriage. The safety Bella relies on is on the brink of unraveling. Somebody needs to read it and tell me if there's like literally a stuffed animal, like Goofy, walking around the house. It comes out in June, so if it sounds like it's your kind of thing, keep an eye out. Switching gears or switching genres, I'm going to do some other authors that I've read from before and their latest announcement, and then we'll come back to the horror genre because I have some things from authors I've never heard of or I've never read. We got a cover for The Midnight Feast. I talked about this one. It is set at a luxury resort and it's got the classic Lucy Foley, like 5 characters that we're following the perspectives of: the founder, the lover, the mystery guest, the kitchen help, the detective. All of them have agendas, all of them have a past, but not everyone will survive. This luxury resort, this big manor, who knows what's gonna happen. I like the cover. Now, the only thing I've read from Kirsten Miller is The Change, so I don't know what other genre she dabbles in. This one just seems like general fiction. It's called Lula Dean's Little Library of Banned Books. I added it because I like books about books, but let's find out if I really should read it. It says Beverly Underwood and her... My laptop sounds like it's about to take off. Beverly Underwood and her arch enemy Lula Dean live in the tiny town of Troy, Georgia, where they were born and raised. Now Beverly's on the school board and Lula has become a local celebrity by embarking on a mission to rid the public libraries of all inappropriate books, none of which she's actually read. To replace the pornographic books she's challenged at the local public library, Lula starts her own lending library in front of her home. But Beverly's daughter Lindsay sneaks in and fills the little library with banned books wrapped in wholesome dust jackets. Now all the townspeople have been changed by what they read, and there's a showdown between these two women. What do you think? Are you gonna read it? I'm not convinced, but I'll wait to see what other people think. Ooh, then we have a new Akwaeke Emezi. This one's called Little Rot. Bold covers, bold colors for 2024, 2025. That is what's happening because this is a lot. It says it's a thrilling new novel about 5 friends trying to outrun and outmatch a powerful underground world. One weekend, the elite underbelly of a Nigerian city, a breakup that starts a spiral, a party that goes awry, a tangled web of sex and lies and corruption that leaves no one unscathed. Little Rot is a whirling journey through the city's dark side, told through the eyes of 5 people, each determined to run from the twisted powers out to destroy them. Oh my god, that sounds so weird and good and interesting. I read all of their books, so this will be no different. Ooh, then we have the next book in this series. It's a series, but it's also standalone novels called Princes of Sin. That has been the official series title given to all of these books. The first one is Throne of the Fallen. The second one has been revealed called Throne of Secrets. In this we followed the Prince of Envy. I ate it up, and the next one is about the Prince of Gluttony. No synopsis or cover yet, but I'll be keeping my eye out for it. Maybe I should predict the cover. Okay, my first romance of the list is here. We have a new Ashley Herring Blake coming out. It's called Make the Season Bright. Looks very Christmassy, coming out in October. It's a holiday rom-com, makes sense, about 2 women who make a Christmas sex pact. I actually think I read that to you before it had a cover. Is it Friends to Lovers? I want to say it's Friends to Lovers. Yeah, cute. I'm gonna read it. Then we have Slow Dance by Rainbow Rowell. I told you about this one last time. I think last time I did one of these was October, and now it has a cover. I hate it. I like the green. Green is the moment for sure, but it just looks like, I don't know, a Sophie Kinsella from like 2002. It tells the humorous and heartbreaking love story of best friends Shiloh and Carrie from their inseparable teen years to their far-flung adulthoods as they try to figure out what their relationship is, where it went wrong, and how to finally make it right. I don't actually think I'm going to be reading this one, but I know that I used to read Rainbow Rowell and people have maybe been subscribed since back in the day, so I thought I would just update you on her upcoming book in case you were interested. Same with A.S. King. Don't read much A.S. King because I don't read a lot of YA, but she has an upcoming one in September. No cover yet, but I thought I'd let you know about it. It's called Pick the Lock. It's a weird and insightful new novel about a girl intent on picking the lock of her toxic family with punk rock and opera. It's gonna be that like mix of surrealist contemporary. That's probably gonna be a lot of fun. And if you all tell me that it's great, then I might actually read it. Also, Riley Sager, another bright green one to go with his other bright green one, trying to recreate the magic of this. We've got Middle of the Night, which I know I talked about in my most anticipated of the year, but I don't think I talked about it in this capacity where I read the whole synopsis to you. Or maybe I did before it got a cover. Either way, let me remind you, this is coming out. It's about a man who has to contend with the longtime disappearance of his childhood best friend and the secrets lurking just beyond the safe confines of his picture-perfect neighborhood. The worst thing to ever happen on Hemlock Circle occurred in Ethan Marsh's backyard. One July night, 10-year-old Ethan and his best friend and neighbor Billy fell asleep in a tent set up on their manicured lawn in a quiet, quaint New Jersey cul-de-sac. In the morning, Ethan woke up alone. During the night, someone had sliced the tent open with a knife and taken Billy. He was never seen again. 30 years later, Ethan returns, and signs of Billy's presence keep appearing in Ethan's backyard. You never know what Riley Sager's gonna get up to. Like, it could be paranormal, it could be implied paranormal, it could be fake paranormal, it could be completely realistic. It comes out in the summer, and you'll probably be reading it with me. Wink, wink. I know I have a Wanda M. Morris somewhere in here. There we go. It's called What You Leave Behind. It says it's a powerful, haunting thriller following a lawyer who, after a mysterious disappearance of a local landowner and the death of his sister just months before, uncovers a conspiracy that dates back to Reconstruction and persists in half the United States today. This woman is digging deeper into a disappearance and finds her family legacy at risk. She finds herself caught up in a nightmarish scheme that threatens her community and her family. Now let's run through all of the authors that I've never read from. This one actually, I'm not even technically adding to my TBR. I just wanted to tell you about it because if you read YA fantasy, I feel like this sounds interesting. It's another book about a person stuck inside a book. So Ray is a bookworm who prefers fictional men over real life boyfriends, but her life takes a strange turn when she's trapped by magic inside her favorite fantasy series, and she finds herself pitted against her suddenly living and breathing crush, the once and forever emperor. It's called Long Live Evil by Sarah Rees Brennan, and I just think you should read it and then tell me like how fun and cute it is. Okay, then I've got this one, A Sweet Sting of Salt. It has 2 covers. I want to know which one you prefer. It's a queer fantasy book. I think that's the only reason I added it. I don't know the plot. Once a young woman uncovers a dark secret about her neighbor and his mysterious new wife, she'll have to keep fighting. What? She'll have to fight to keep herself and the woman she loves safe in this stunning queer reimagining of the classic folktale, The Selkie Wife. When a sharp cry wakes Jean in the middle of the night during a terrible tempest, she's convinced it must have been a dream. But when the cry comes again, Jean ventures outside and is shocked by what she discovers, a young woman in labor already drenched to the bone in the freezing cold and barely able to speak a word of English. Although Jean is the only midwife in the village for miles around, she's at a loss as to who this woman is or where she's from. Jean can only assume she must be the new wife of the neighbor up the road, Tobias. When Tobias does indeed arrive at her cabin in search of his wife, Jean's questions continue to grow. Why has he kept his wife's pregnancy a secret? And why does her open demeanor completely change the moment she's in his presence? I'm gonna read that for sure. This one, The God of the Woods by Liz Moore. An immersive, propulsive novel about a missing child whose disappearance sends equal shockwaves through 3 very different worlds. An opulent Adirondack summer estate, the rustic teen summer camp that operates in its shadow, and the blue-collar community that serves them both. When Barbara Van Laar is discovered missing from her summer camp bunk one morning in 1975, it triggers a panic, terrified search. Losing a camper is a horrific tragedy. That's not funny, Kayla. Under any circumstance, but Barbara isn't just a camper, she's the daughter of the wealthy family that owns the camp, as well as the opulent nearby estate, blah, 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 blah. It sounds like a very complex mystery, and it says it's a story of love, inheritance, identity, and second chances. What do you think of Liz Moore? Are you gonna pick this up? I've heard of Vera Kurian, but I haven't read anything from her, but she has something upcoming called A Step Past Darkness that says 6 classmates, 1 terrifying night, a murder 20 years in the making. It describes all 6 of the people, and it says there's something sinister under the surface of the idyllic suburban town of Wesley Falls, and it's not just the abandoned coal mine that lies beneath it. The summer of 1995 kicks off with a party in the mine where 6 high school students witness a horrifying crime. All 6 promise a vow of silence, but 20 years later, one of them is calling them back. One of the group has been murdered. It sounds basic, but I think people like this author, so I might read it. Then I have this one that doesn't have a cover yet called We Came to Welcome You by Vincent Torrado. It's the other black girl meets Midsummer in this spine-chilling, propulsive, psychological adult debut in which a married couple moves into a gated community that slowly creeps into a pervasive dread akin to the social horror of Jordan Peele and Lovecraft Country. Like having to survive your overly friendly neighbors and then learning something sinister is going on. That sounds great. I added this one called Pour One for the Devil, a Gothic novella by Theodore C. Van Alst, which is a fancy name. When Dr. Van Veerlands receives an invitation from Mrs. Elizabeth Vanderhorst to give a lecture at her island mansion off the coast of South Carolina, he doesn't think twice. There's a generous honorarium, and he relishes the chance to revisit the Sea Islands where he once studied the Gula language. The lavish house he arrives at is strangely out of time. No other historians appear, nor does an audience, as he passes the time chatting in Gula with the household servants. Just when his suspicions become difficult to ignore, Mr. Vanderhorst plies him with a sumptuous feast that distracts him from her true motives, which may prove more sinister than anything he's prepared to imagine. Oh my god, that comes out like next month, but I only just heard about it, and I think I'm gonna read it. No one has added it to their Goodreads. Apparently I was the first person to ever hear of this book. Where did it come from? Okay, anyway, then there's this one called The Truth According to Ember, which I think is the first, oh, I don't want to get this wrong, the first traditionally published, like from the big, I don't know anything about publishing. Is it the big four, the big six? A romance from an Indigenous author from one of those imprints, right? It says, a Chickasaw woman who can't catch a break serves up a little white lie that snowballs into much more in this witty and irresistible rom-com. Rom-com. Amber Lee Cardinal has not always been a liar. Well, not for anything that counted at least, but her job search is not going well, and when her resume is rejected for the 37th time, she takes matters into her own hands. She gets creative, listing her qualifications and answers the ethnicity question on applications with a lie. A half-lie, technically. No one wants Native American Ember, but white Ember has just landed her dream accounting job on Park Avenue. She falls in love with an IT guy. They're caught in a compromising position on a work trip. And Amber has to confront her lies. Okay, let's read that one together. Yeah? Then there's this sci-fi one called Glass Houses by Madeline? No one has ever said Madeline. Madeline Ashby? A masterful near-future whodunit for fans of Glass Onion and Black Mirror. Join a stranded startup team led by a terrifyingly realistic charming billionaire, a deserted tropical island, and a mysterious AI-driven mansion as the remaining members disappear one by one. I don't need to know anymore. I'm gonna read it. Oh, also Lady Macbeth by Ava Reid. This one just got a cover. I've talked about this before. I don't love Ava Reid, but I feel like I might still pick this up. This cover just got revealed recently after the first cover, and now I don't know which one I prefer. So you have to tell me your opinion about that. I am a Shakespeare girl. I feel like this is something that I should read, and maybe this will be my moment with Ava Reid to really love her stuff. I also heard about this one called Alchemized by Sen Lin Yu. It says it's a standalone dark fantasy set in a war-torn world of necromancy and alchemy with an enemies to lovers romance that is by turn tender, toxic, and all-consuming. That's all I know about it, but it's on my radar, and I'll come back to you with a cover reveal. And then this one, Toward Eternity, another science fiction book. You might have heard of this author, Anton Hur, because he has translated a bunch of books, and this is their debut, Toward Eternity. The book sets out to answer the question, what does it mean to be a human in a world where technology is quickly catching up to biology? In a near future world, a new technological therapy is quickly eradicating cancer. The body's cells are entirely replaced with nanites, robot or android cells, which not only cure those afflicted, but leaves them virtually immortal. Yeah, we're gonna stop reading there, and we're gonna read that one. Then I saw 2 acquisitions from Orbit. Orbit needs to get on their Goodreads pages faster because I can't add these yet, but I saw them on Instagram. One is called The Bone Raiders by Jackson Ford. It says it's an epic fantasy following the story of Rakada, a fearsome band known as the Bone Raiders, due to their charming habit of wearing the bones of those they kill on their armor. But being a raider is tough these days, especially when the high chieftain is trying to wipe out you and your kind. There's a fire-breathing lizard, and she has to convince the lizard to let her ride it. Okay, there's that one. And then I saw this one, The Third Rule of Time Travel, which just sounded like an intriguing title to me. It says, near future mystery and a poignant meditation on grief. Like, that's for me. Scientist Beth Darlow has discovered the unimaginable. She's built a machine that allows human consciousness to travel through time to any point in the traveler's lifetime and relive moments of their life. Then her husband dies, so there's a mystery, but there's also time travel, so maybe she has to go back in time to figure out what happened. And that's it. That's everything that intrigued me in the last couple months that I just wanted to let you know about in case we read similarly. I know a lot of you comment that we don't, but I'm happy you're still here regardless, and hopefully you learned about something that maybe you want to read or you want to see me read. So tell me all of your thoughts down below, and I will see you again very soon. Bye!